let's get to cooking. This is what we're doing today at Memaw's house. Hey y'all, welcome back to Memaw's house. I'm back in the kitchen and it's time to cook. It is time to cook some soup because it is getting chilly outside and soup is just what we like on those cool fall days. Not the mornings, but the days. So I'm going to pull together some soup. Now, the other day I fixed a baked chicken. I roasted a chicken rather in my roasting pan. And whatever I had left, once the children eat a little bit, they're done. Once Peepaw has had a serving or two, it's done. So I pull off the rest of the meat and I do something else with it. Then I use that chicken carcass, if you will, to make some bone broth, some chicken broth. So I made some chicken broth, some chicken salad, and I pulled some meat off so that I could make a creamy chicken noodle soup. And that's what I'm going to make today. So let me get in this kitchen and let's get to cooking. Here are the ingredients that we'll be using to make our creamy chicken noodle soup. For our flavorings, we have a little bit of chopped chives and some parsley flakes. We also have about 1.5 cups of dry noodles. These are just egg noodles. We have some whipping cream and some flour for our base. Here in this cup, I have a little bit of garlic that I had chopped up and put in some olive oil. Then for my veggies, I'm going to use that garlic, the onion, carrots, celery, and some corn. This is frozen corn. There's nothing wrong with fresh corn. I just don't have any. And then I'll use some of my chicken broth that I made from this chicken that I have cut up and saved back for us to make our soup. So now let's go ahead and cook. And of course, you know that these ingredients will be listed down in the description box. And I will also use some salt and pepper. Y'all know how I do. So now that you have the list of ingredients, let me go ahead and show you how I got my broth together. So you see, I just simply added water to the chicken bones and skin and meat that was left over into the roasting pan, which had a lot of good flavor down in the bottom. And I added about 3 quarts of water. And I cooked it down for about an hour, maybe. It was about that long. And it may look a little cloudy because it does have so much flavoring and seasonings in it. It's not like your chicken broth or beef broth that you will get from the store that doesn't have much substance to it. But this is old school chicken broth with all the stuff. Now the fat will separate and I'll be able to scrape that off if I want to, but that fat does add some flavor. So I'm just going to continue to ladle this and I will use this in our soup on tomorrow because this is a whole day before. Now let's go ahead and get started with our cutting of our veggies. That's the first thing that we'll do is I'll cut a small onion because I'm not making a lot of soup. I'm just making enough for me and the family. And I'm going to use both stalks of celery and only 2 of the carrots. I have 3 there, but I only needed 2. So let's go ahead, put some music on because you know that's what I'm doing while I'm cooking, and get to chopping. Now I had put my water on to boil for my noodles, and that's boiling. So let's go ahead and get our noodles in place so that they can cook, and then I'll get back to chopping. Oh, and I'm using egg noodles, just a curly egg noodle, and you can use any kind of noodle you'd like. We have used penne pasta. We've used the alphabet noodles. We've used all kinds of noodles, but today we're using egg noodles. Okay, now that all the veggies are chopped, we can go ahead and start our pot and get it ready to cook our soup. You see my pasta is boiling, it's almost done. We want that to get just to an al dente state, if that much cooking, because it's going to cook more once it gets into the soup. And we don't want soggy noodles. Anyway, into my soup pot will go the garlic that I have preserved in some olive oil. So that's the oil that you see that's in there. So that's my 2 tablespoons of garlic. We love garlic around here. If you don't like that much garlic, don't put that much garlic, but put a little bit of garlic in your soup. It's always good. And we're going to do 1 teaspoon of parsley flakes. These are dried, and you can get them anywhere. And we're going to use a little bit of onion. And this is a chives. And we're going to cook these just a little bit. When I say cook them, I want them to flavor the oil and to get some of that flavoring into the oil so that it will season our veggies. And now we're going to go in with the veggies. We're going to stir these just a little bit to coat them with the oil and to get them to start cooking. I added all of my veggies together because I'm hoping that they're uniformed pieces and they have the same kind of consistency or texture. So it will take about the same amount of time for each of them to cook. So we're going to go ahead and stir these, like I said, together and get these cooking just a little bit as a stir fry kind of method. Now, to begin making the roux for our creamed portion of our soup, I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of butter. And those 2 tablespoons of butter, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of flour. I have a whole cup here, but I'm going to do something else with the other flour in a few minutes. Not even on this recipe, but I needed to pull out some flour. So now that I have my flour in, I'm going to cook this flour for about a minute. It's nothing worse for me than uncooked flour because it tastes funny. So make sure that you cook your flour on a medium-high heat or even medium heat, depending on how your stove cooks, until it's done. That flour tastes, it's about a minute that it takes to cook. I'm going to add my salt and pepper, so that it can flavor the roux, and then we'll go ahead and get our liquid ingredients put in. Now to this, I am going to add 1 of the quarts of chicken broth that I made earlier in this video. I showed you what I did, and it was yesterday that I made the chicken broth. But this is what's going to make our soup have the flavor that it needs to have. And you see how it's thickening up nicely with just adding that little bit of broth and the flour together. So let's get another 1/2 quart in. So this is 1.5 quarts so far of liquid that we're adding to our soup. And don't forget to stir your soup, because if you don't stir it, you may have lumps in the soup, and you need to get the flour to make sure that it melds well with the liquid ingredients and make the cream portion of the soup. Now that that part is done, we're going to go ahead and add our strained noodles. And like I said, the noodles are not all the way cooked. We just want it cooked just to a point, and then we'll let it cook throughout in the soup. Let's give that a stir, and then to our soup, we're going to add our final ingredient, our chicken. And we'll get our chicken stirred in, and then we'll add in our cream. I'm going to start by adding in a cup of heavy whipping cream. And if you are watching your fat intake and you don't want to add whipping cream, you can always add a 1% milk. It will still cream the soup well. So add your cream or milk, whichever one you prefer. And if you're adding something like almond milk or coconut milk, I'm not sure how that turns out, because I've never tried that ingredient as a substitute for milk in this recipe. But if you do, let me know down in the comments how it turns out. Okay, now I'm going to add the real final ingredient to the soup, and that is the corn. Because corn does add a little bit of sweetness, and we don't have to add any sugar or anything like that to the soup to balance it out. The corn balances it out for us. The corn, the carrots, the celery, all of it kind of pulls together and balances the soup out. So we're going to let this simmer. We're going to cover and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Look at the mess that is my kitchen. You can tell I've been cooking in it. Okay, y'all, so you know that my soup has to be tasted, because I can't let it just simmer and I not have tasted it a little bit. So I'm going to give it a taste to make sure that it has enough salt, enough seasoning in it, because it's not good if it's not seasoned. Oh yeah. That's good. I think I need just a little bit more salt. I don't want it to be too much, but I think I need just a little bit more. And I think because my broth was not very salty. It had some seasonings in it, but it was not very salty. So I want to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. All right, we're going to let this go for another 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll have some soup. Okay, y'all, the soup is ready, and I've let it simmer for about 20 additional minutes, just so that those veggies can have become soft and have a good bite. I'm going to serve me up a bowl, and we're going to get us a taste test going because it smells delicious. I think this soup will coat my palate very nicely and really warm our insides, and that's what we want with our soups. I've also had some extra Hawaiian rolls that I just toasted in the oven, and I've closed it up now, but I put a little butter on it and toasted it. Okay, y'all, so what I didn't realize was that my microphone had died. So I'll just tell you what I'm saying. I don't have my taste testers here right now, but I'm going to go ahead and taste my soup myself. So give me a minute and let me get this up on the spoon. So here we go. If I would just stop talking, I can go in and taste it. So blow it and let's taste it. Just like I said, it was going to warm the inside. It is very tasty. It's a nice, smooth consistency, the soup itself, and then to have the bite of the vegetables and the bite of the noodle, it really does warm your soul. So, if you're thinking about having some soup for fall, this is the recipe to have. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will list those ingredients like I said down in the description box. Here's another video and a playlist that may interest you. Y'all be blessed. Bye.